We're on. Well, good evening. My name is L.C. Campbell. Let me just give you about a thumbnail sketch of who I am. For 26 years, I was the pistol packing preacher for the Martin County Sheriff's Office. And Mark and I interacted with St. Lucie County from time to time. And when I was 19 years old, I was with a pastor that photography was his big deal on the side. And I'd always shot pictures from the old Brownie Square, and he talked me into buying some equipment and said, let's have fun together. So I did. I even moved our residence so I had an extra bedroom so I could build a dark room. My wife was never a fan of that, but we did it anyway. And when I was with the sheriff's office, the rule was if they're alive, I photographed them. If they were dead, crime scene did the pictures. So I did all of Sheriff Crowder's PR photography. And I've done that for years and years. I also serve as a pastor. I pastor Nettles Island Church out on the beach. We run like 80 in the summer and 700 every week during the winter. And so things have slowed down a bit. And I'm also chaplain with the Treasure Coast Sea Winds Funeral Home on Monterey Road right by the sheriff's office. So I do a lot of stuff, and I never heard of this club until about 6 months ago. And I've been doing Apple stuff, even teaching my folks out at Nettles Island how to use iPads so they can get back in with their grandkids, and got them on Facebook, and they're doing all those kind of things. So they asked me to do something. Now listen, I am very simple. And so I'm not going to be over anybody's head. You're probably going to go, ho-hum. But what I want to do tonight is I want to just sort of take you through what you can do once you've got your pictures and you've already transferred them to your computer. All right, we're going to make a narrow approach tonight. There's tons of ways of getting your pictures into your computer. We're not going to deal with that tonight. If you don't know how to do that, some of us will be glad to talk with you individually. But I want to show you what you can do once you get them in. And I've taken some pictures yesterday. My youngest daughter had double mastectomy yesterday. And this morning at 11:30, she went home. She's doing wonderfully well. And so we had about 45 people in the waiting room yesterday. So I said, I'm going to take some pictures that I can use. And I overexposed and underexposed to create the kinds of pictures that we have. And then one of the other things I do, and I'm going to show you here, is I create DVDs for families for memorial services when they take the person's life and sort of go through it. And so I want to show you, this is one, and these are friends of mine, so I can use them. These are the kind of pictures we get, and they're actually pretty typical. It's almost, the screen is not nearly as good as the TV screen would be. So we're going to play with this anyway. All right, so let's say you now have your pictures, you've brought them in, all right? And then you're going to take that first one and going to double click, and that brings up the entire picture, just that single one. You can use your arrows, left or right, and they will, as you can see, it'll go to the next picture, all right? And so now I've got this picture. What do I want to do with it? Well, first of all, you see it's not centered, right? So that's typically the first thing you want to do. Over in the upper right hand, there's a corner there, it says edit. So you push edit, and we're in photos. I guess I didn't say that, did I? Let me say this. I started out with iPhoto. Any of y'all remember iPhoto? Any of y'all still have them on your computers? Well, I still do. I even use it every once in a while. Well, Aperture, you familiar with Aperture? Anybody use Aperture? Okay. About almost 2 years ago, Apple decided that they were no longer going to put a major emphasis on the semi-pro or professional photographer. And I think part of that was because they pretty much had lost some of that market to Lightroom and Photoshop from the Adobe suite. And so they determined we're going to take both of these two, iPhoto and Aperture, and we're going to bring them together, merge them, which means we're going to upgrade iPhoto and we're going to downgrade Aperture. Now, there were a lot of semi-pros, and I've got a lot of friends that I talk with regularly, and I've got about 2,400 friends on Facebook, and we're picking each other's brains. They raised holy heaven over the fact that Aperture was no longer going to be used. And so they have not been excited about photos. But those folks who used iPhoto, as they began to see what they could do better than they ever could before, thrilled with photos. Well, I don't use photos very much. I use it some on my phone, and that could be a whole nother session because it's a little different on the phone. But nonetheless, I want to take some time to show you several things that I think are really pretty exciting. So, let me back up. When we bring in all of our pictures, and now we're going to start editing them. And here's the first one, and like I said, it's not centered, so I'm going to the right-hand corner, push edit, and then here are all the potential things I can do. And you see the third one down says crop. See that? Let me hear you say it, or just nod your head, I'll hear you. Okay, you push crop, and now you see there is the potential for several things. You see this dial down here? If that photo is not just horizontal, you have the potential of straightening it up. You see that? All right, let me bring it back to 0 because it's pretty good. All right, up in the right-hand corner of that picture and the left-hand corner, there are little brackets. And you see when I grab that bracket, you see you get the double-sided arrow? Somebody say, uh-huh? Okay. Then I'm going to push the trackpad down with my thumb, and I'm going to use my forefinger to move it in. So now I'm going to create a better layout. Now actually, I'm not going to go quite, if I were doing it looking at the lady on the left, her shoulder is cut into, but I'm not going to quite do that because I want to keep a little better proportion. All right? So then, did you see what that just did? Let me just show you, watch what happens. It takes over and it pulls it right to there. All right. Now, this button right here at the top, it says enhance. Now that's sort of a jack of all trades. It's not a bad place to start because it's going to sort of even out different adjustments and do what it just says. It's going to enhance it. So I'm going to push it. Now let me say this, and I don't know, but sometimes it actually makes it worse. But that's okay because look at the very top. See where it says revert to original? All right. But I'm going to punch enhance. So let's watch and see what happens. All right, it brightened it up just a little bit. I guarantee you couldn't see it on that screen. But it's not all I would want it to be. So I'm going to come down here to the word adjust. That's the fifth one down. See that? All right, I'm going to click that. And now I have in here some options. And there is a line, again, unless you're looking on your own laptop, I see a few of you are, there is a line that goes through the white section up through the picture. If you grab that and move it. See, I can get it darker or I can get it lighter. So I'm going to move it a little bit more there. And the color, I can actually increase the saturation, or I can go all the way really to black and white. You see that? All right. Now, here's what I want you to look at. You see the word adjustment? Okay, right up here. Right across from it, it says add. Now here is the whole suite of things that opens up that people many times have never seen. So that it's not just one adjustment that does several things, but rather, now watch, I'm going to click add. And now it drops down with a box. And I'm going to add down here in the details area. See that? Just help me out. Okay, just make sure you're with me. I'm going to click sharpen, and it showed up down here. I'm going to back up to add again. I'm going to click definition, and there it showed up down there. You see, I'm adding a whole array of things here. All right? I'm going to noise reduction. I'm adding that. And all of these things are small details that will help you enhance your picture considerably. And then vignette. You may want to use a vignette. And a vignette will just create a little more dark space around the picture. All right. Let me go back to edit now. Here we are. Adjust. Let me get back to where I was. And let's see what else we want to add.
Will those things stay there?
That they will. Yes, they will. What? So you can fine tune and adjust to. And you'll begin to see a few of those you may not use. But the more you play with them, and they're not, most of those details are simply that. They're the finer details. And you may not have time. You may not have a desire. You may not even give a rip about it. But they are there for you. And those really become some of the aperture features that were not a part of the iPhoto features. Now, here's the way to answer your question a little further. You see this whole box right there where we were shaping and adding those check marks? Down at the very bottom, see what it says? Save as default. So that will now save those for you the way you have them, so that, yes, when you close it and then open it back up, it will come in as the default. And you can go back in and delete them as well. All right, now let's go one level beyond that. Stay up here with me on light. See that? Now, when you put the cursor over that, there's two things that show up. It says there's a little oblong circle that you can hardly see. I wish y'all could just almost get around those TV screens. It says auto, and then there's a down arrow. You see that? All right, if you push the down arrow, I'm on light now, the top one. If you push the down arrow under light, whoa, there's like 6 different adjustments that open up to you. Now you can change several things. Now, let me just do it. If you can look at one of these side, I think even at that angle, you may see better than looking at that screen, because we lose so much definition. But there is exposure, which allows you to get over wherever you want. You see how I'm brightening that up? All right, I'm going to go back to where that was. Let me bring in another picture. Let me find one. Okay. Let's look at this one. Now the background is pretty much black. If I take this one called shadows and I begin to move this over, it opens up and creates a little better action in the background. And then I can take exposure and brighten that up. And you get to a point where you've almost gone too far. You might want to back up just a hair, and then highlights, you may want to take it out because you'll see their faces begin to get a little too bright. Get me up. All right. Now again, these are just snapshots, but you know what? They're typical of all folks that just take snapshots. There's one that's pretty good, but we can highlight it just a bit by taking that shadow, and it gives it a little more pop as we take out some of that background. All right. Go down one more notch. Color. You see color? The same thing. You can use that down arrow, and now you can create saturation. Let me see if I can find a picture that is sort of washed out. And I don't know because I've not even looked at these. This is this family that gave me the stuff. That one's a little bit. Let's see if we add saturation, it gives us a little more color. And then cast gives us more of an overview of coloring, a rendering of the entire picture. All right, you can do that. That gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 options that relate to the brightness and definition and contrast of a picture. So you can take an average picture and begin to do some things with it that makes it come alive. And it really gives you an opportunity to do some things. Now, down under sharpen, I've already got this now opened up, but if we wanted to sharpen that up, the picture literally begins to focus. There's the intensity, there's the edges of your focus, and the fall off is those areas that literally fall off from the primary portion. And definition. Definition is another area where it begins to subtly change the focus and creates a little more focused picture. All right. Yes. It takes, it has to do with, let me see if I can describe it. If you take someone's head in this picture and you look at it closely and you begin to increase the intensity of the sharpness, it sometimes gets very precise and it's very sharp. I mean, too sharp. And the fall off, you add that to it and it softens that impact, the degree to which from pixel to pixel it diminishes the intensity of that.
Where did you find definitions? Yeah, we don't have that.
Well, okay, go back up to add. Up across from adjustments, the blue add, ADD. Okay, and then you see where it says definition, and you click that in, and then it'll show up in your menu down there. Got it? Okay, super. All right, any other questions up so far? All right.
On the right.
I'm sorry.
Now, can you keep an original and then make a copy so you can
Yes,
put it on?
you sure can. There's two things. First, let me go back and mention this. You can, the photos is set up as a non-destructive format. So there is always, look at the very top, right? It says revert to original. So you click that and it will go back to the original digital image as it was originally. But in addition, you can, let me take this picture. If you use 2 fingers and click, it's not showing up, but I'm looking at it on the screen. When you use 2 fingers and click on the picture, you get a drop-down box. It's saying get info, show in moment, copy adjustments, rotate, revert, duplicate one photo. There it is. Thank you. Yeah, all right. So if I click duplicate one photo, I now have, if I get out of there, just a second, let me show you. Now I have 2 of those pictures. You see that? So you can maintain that one without having to worry about anything and play with and make your adjustments and come with it. So all you do, let me just do that again one more time. We'll have 3 of these. Is you with 2 fingers, double click. Wrong. You single click with 2 fingers. That's the double. All right. You single click with 2 fingers and go down that till it says duplicate one photo. Click it, and then I'm going to close it out now. Now I've got 1, 2, and then the next row, there's the 3rd one. Okay, yes, sir.
I shoot a night now. I'm going to use my camera.
Uh-huh.
I shoot a raw and a JPEG.
And use both? Okay. Uh-huh. Right. Yes, you can do that, and you can use either or with photos. It will take your raw. A raw. The difference in a JPEG and a RAW primarily is it is a much bigger file. So it has a whole lot of additional information, and it gives you the potential to do a whole lot more in terms of modifying that digital image if it's in RAW. In RAW, yes. Most professional photographers pretty much shoot exclusively in RAW. I've pretty much come to the point that I have, and you can save them in JPEG after that if you needed to email them or send them to whoever.
They're so big.
I'm sorry?
They're so big, there's time you can't even take them.
That's correct. The JPEG is just a condensed form, but it still has a lot of variables. But I'm telling you, when I could not believe the difference in terms of, here's one picture. Let me go back and show you something I did just for this purpose. Here.
Bill wants to make sure it repeat when they.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Repeat the question. That's for the sake of the recording. I apologize. All right. Here's an underexposed, actually. It depends on which way you look at it. All right. Now, so this is in RAW. And so I'm going to edit it. Now, when I use Lightroom, it's unbelievable even the difference and the more dramatic changes we can make. But so if I want to deal with this, I'm going to go to Adjust, and I'm going to come up here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take brightness and knock it down a bit. All right, and my contrast is a little bit high at that level as well. And then I'm going to take highlights. Can you see enough that it's getting more dynamic in terms of color? And I really haven't done anything with saturation yet down in the next level. And then exposure, I might come off just a bit. And then saturation, let's see if we want to bring it up a little more and see it begins to come to life a little better. You see that? Now, here's the deal. You all take a lot of pictures that are adequate, just like I do. And they're adequate, but if you get, let's say you want some of your grandkids, and when you're wanting to show them off, you want pictures that are a little better than adequate, don't you? Because your grandkids are far better than adequate, right? Okay, so you can spend hours. Tonight I have almost 300 pictures tonight that I've got to edit, to put together 2 DVDs for 2 funerals, one tomorrow and one Saturday. And I've still got to go to the ICU unit in Port St. Lucie when I leave here before that. But you're not going to spend that kind of time doing that many pictures probably. But you may come up with a grouping of 10, 12, however many you think your friend will sit there and watch when you show off the grandkids. And it would be fun to take those, put them in a file folder there, and play with them. And there's all kinds of things you can do. And the best way is just start doing it. Because you aren't going to destroy the original. All you got to do, let me watch this. I did all that. I'm going to go up here and click Revert to Original. And there is the original. Which really, that's not even acceptable. And we did that on purpose. I hate to show you stuff that looks like garbage and say I'm a good photographer. But you understand what we're doing. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a setting on your camera that takes a raw picture? Is that something you set up on your
Yes. Every camera's different, but there are, in the menu, it will give you usually the choice of JPEG or RAW or both.
Okay, so let's just pretend you take a raw picture and you download it into Photos. It saves it as a RAW and you make it a JPEG.
When you export it, that really, I didn't bring that up. You all did. I would stay with JPEG right now because there's several processes that have to take place because when I do, and I meant to bring it, but I didn't have a chance to go home, I've got a 20 by 24 canvas print of a picture. And obviously, when I wanted that to be that big, I want that raw image because it's got so much more information when it's being processed. But when you're doing something you want to email to friends or whatever, you're much better off, because a JPEG, as you said, is far smaller, much easier to email. Okay? All right. Now, let me, just for the sake of time, all right, here are 10 or 12 pictures, and I'm going to go through pretty quick, all right? This is my wife who doesn't like to smile. I was using Leadership Martin County. I do their pictures, and they said, we don't have a wall for a background, and I had to take portraits of all of the folks that were in this year's class. And I'm thinking, and that was the next day, and I don't have a studio, so I have a projection screen. I'm thinking, I set it up, and I used hers, and it works unbelievably well. I'm thrilled with it. All right, so there's the first one. This was yesterday. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to see what Enhance does. Okay, Enhance darkened it and give us better contrast. That's acceptable for this work. This one's dark, okay. Let's see if it lightens up. It does a little bit, but I'm going to go to Adjust. I'm going down here to Shadows, and I'm going to increase that. You see that come alive a little more? All right, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to go to the next one. Just give me a minute. This is my daughter getting ready to go into surgery right there yesterday morning. And I'm going to, I got this gal over here who I love, but I'm going to cut her out. So I'm going to do a real quick, bye-bye, Barbie. You're gone, kiddo. All right. All right, got that. And now I'm going to come over here to adjust, and I'm going to add some shadow here to brighten it up a bit. And I can almost live with that. All right, done. I'm going up here and punching done. All right, now I'm going to the next one. I did that on purpose. Backlighting. How many times have you taken pictures of somebody or a small group, and the back there's so much light back there, and so the faces are impacted? This one, because I had glass halfway around, it's not quite as bad, but let me just quickly do an edit here. We'll do an adjustment. I'm going to take brightness out. And I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot with the background, but I'm not concerned about the background. All right, I'm concerned about them. All right, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to come over here, third one down. I'm going to crop again, and that prepares that screen then for cropping. And I'm coming over here, so I don't have so much to worry about there. All right, I'll live with that. All right, we're going to crop that just a little better. Let's come down here and pull that up. I want to show you what you can do. This is what's fun. I just want to get enough here done real quick to give you one. I'm going to get rid of that one. So here's how you get rid of that, okay? 2 fingers, 1 click, down at the bottom, delete one photo. You see that? 2 fingers, 1 click, and then the box shows up and you go down to the bottom, delete one photo. Delete, yes, gives you a chance to make sure you didn't make a mistake. Delete, it's gone. All right?
You're deleting
Just that one picture and it's gone.
But the original is gone?
Yes. Yes. Now I can hide it. That's another option. Well, it puts it where it doesn't show up, but it's still there. I don't ever use it because if I'm going to hide it, I'm getting rid of it. I'm not interested in it personally. So, all right. So that enhanced it. I'm going to just leave it for time's sake. And all of these I chose not to allow it to automatically set it. I underexposed on purpose for this, what I'm doing right now. Okay, so now we come back here. And these aren't really acceptable, but it allows you to put it in a position, because there's always something that you shot in, man, I want that, and it didn't come out good. Well, at least it's good enough that you preserve the moment, even though it's not going to win any contest. You know what I'm saying? You see how that's getting at least better to the extent that you know what it is. All right. There is underexposed, and the enhance, that brightens it up a bit. We're going to bring it up a little more. And we're going to live with that. All right. And there's my wife, the idiot. Oh, she's more refined than that one. All right. Okay, now let me do this. Here's what's fun. Now we got all of these, all right? You can create your own slideshow. You go up to File, up at the very top, and you come down, and in the second little section where it says create, you can create a slideshow by just pushing that button, and you can name it whatever you want to name it. And it automatically sets it up for you. And somebody did that. That's okay. Okay, and see, it's automatically moving from slide to slide. All right, if you push escape, upper left hand on the keyboard,
Where did you do that? Just for slide?
where did I launch it? All right down below the picture, there's a right-hand arrow. Did you go up there into File?
No.
Okay, go to File, open that up, go down where it says Create Slideshow.
Okay.
Click that. All right, and then it should say, or if you've got a group of pictures there, now look down. Do you have a group of pictures or do you have one picture? You have a group? Okay. It should get to the point where you've got one. Do you see right down below the picture there is that right-hand arrow? Everybody else, you're looking at the screens or something. Can you see that? It's a dark arrow. It's right here. Okay. When you push that, that's going to begin showing it. Okay. I'll be glad to stay over a little bit if you want to. All right. Now, here's what you also can do. You can change the kind of slideshow. All the way over on the right-hand corner, there are three objects. One looks like two pieces of paper on top of each other. You see that?
On the bottom right?
No, on the top, half in the middle, all the way to the right. There's those three elements. One's 2/8 notes in the middle, and looks like two pieces of paper on top of each other, and then like a timer. All right. If you push the top one, that is for the different kinds of themes, built-in themes that photos had. I mean, you can create all kinds of different things. I'm going to push vintage prints. Now watch the screen. Well, this is going to change. You see what just happened? Let me go back to classic. All right, now vintage prints, it puts the print in the middle, and it takes some of those other pictures that we have and wraps them around in black and white. Now, let me just play you just a little bit of this. Here's what happens. And then it's going to change, but see what it does? And it fills the whole screen instead of giving you a bunch of black space, depending on whether it's a horizontal or a vertical picture. All right, let me back out of there. Let's try the Ken Burns. That's the zooming in and out. All right, here's just 15 seconds. See how that's moving from left to right? And you're going to see another one come in, and it's coming pretty much right at you in enlargement. Here's another one that's going away, and it builds all of those pictures like that. All right. Now, so there's that part. The music. How many of you have iTunes accounts? You have music. You can bring in any song from iTunes and allow that to be the background music. And if you look in the music library, there's some things here that's already on this particular computer. I've got about 6,000 songs I've accumulated. And then if you punch the far right, bottom one, the one that looks like a clock, it opens up, it talks about the duration. You can customize it so they'll be whatever time you want, or if you put fit to music, if you click that first one up there, then what happens is the music begins when the slideshow begins, and when the music ends, the last picture fades out. So it automatically creates a beautiful little slideshow. That could be created and could be taken to your iPad or to your iPhone, so when you want to show off the grandkids, you can even have a little music behind it for 45 seconds and show a dozen pictures. But there's all of those options. Those are things that are part of photos that most of us, unless we begin to search for it, we don't see it. All right? So that's photos on that portion. Now, let me... we can't get sound to go through. Will it pick up sound? Okay, let's see if it'll do it. Let me just give you here's one I have not. There's no music coming out though. I threw these pictures together last night, and I haven't even looked at this. I've done nothing except throw in the pictures and put it so that it would show up in this fashion, and it automatically takes these. I took 847 pictures of my granddaughter and let her have her own little tea party and didn't pose her at all, and we just shot for about an hour and a half, and she fed her little animals and did her thing. And so then we started picking up those pictures and pulling, I don't know, there's maybe 70 or 80. And this takes about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm not going to show the whole thing. Now I can see right here that obviously there's blank spaces there, and you can modify that and adjust so that they're constantly filling the screen. But this is really not hard. I did about 3 moves. I had the file of all of these pictures, brought it into photos. I said, make a new create a new slideshow, and it did. And I left the default music in there. I'm sorry it's not playing, but it's really pretty simple. I encourage you to play with it. Don't be afraid. You're not going to ruin your pictures. You can, if you want to duplicate them all, if you feel like you need that double safety, go right ahead. Or you can go back and revert to original on each one. But if we don't stretch ourselves a bit, we'll never enjoy even a smidgen bit of all that is provided for us. Apple's Photos is an exciting application. Even though I do not personally use it a great deal, the more I have used it for some quick things that in the future, I can assure you I'm going to use it more too. So if you haven't gotten anything from this, I'm sorry, but I have, because I got motivated. And we can maybe come back at some point and maybe just go with the iPhone, because that's where we take most of our pictures today. And there is a Photos application there too, and it's a little different. And I'm assuming, can it plug in and do the same thing? Okay. So, any other questions? Yes, sir. Okay. How do you change the order of pictures within a slideshow or whatever? Well, let's do this. All right. Let's go back to these practice photos I brought out. I'm going to take this one out, the next to the last on the top row, one with the 2 hands. I'm going to hold down the trackpad with my thumb, and I'm going to then take my index finger, and I'm going to grab that and move it, and now it's going to become the first picture. I put it wherever I want it. So you tap it and it puts a little red circle around that picture indicating that's the one you're looking at. I push my trackpad down and hold it, and with my index finger I then manipulate by moving that picture and then releasing, and it automatically goes to that. Yours doesn't do it? All right, I'll get with you right afterwards, because it will.
You just, you're in photos and photos.
Yes, I'm in photos.
Just a group of photos.
That's what I've got. This is a grouping right here, and I'm taking my wife's picture there, and I'm pushing my thumb down and holding it, taking my index finger, and I'm moving her to the end of the row, and she just went there. It doesn't matter. You just have to sequence it by holding it down and then using another finger to move it. Don't go away. We'll be there. Yes, ma'am.
Does it work the same with the desktop? I mean, with the mouse? How would you do it with the mouse?
You would push the left down, hold it, and just move the mouse. And it would take that. I don't use a mouse anymore, but I'm sure that's the way you do it. Yes, sir.
I use iPhoto.
Okay.
So far, I haven't seen anything good. Is there anything good?
Well, there's a lot of things under the hood that's new. If you're happy with iPhotos and you're comfortable with it, and it's doing everything you want it to do until probably the next OS update, because at that point they may not be going to support iPhotos. Don't know that, but the rumor was that they're not going to support iPhotos. They are going to support Aperture at least one more generation, but we'll drop that one. I don't know that's true, but that's what I've read. So, like I said, I still use iPhotos some. I actually burn my DVDs, or at least make the movie with iPhotos. But I can do it just as easily with photos. It's just new tricks for old horses, old dogs, all of that. Anyone else?
All right, let's hear it.
Thank you.